As we read the scriptures, my brothers and my sisters, we find very clearly that God is both a covenant-making God and a covenant-keeping God. He himself keeps the very covenant he makes with his people. As we read succinctly in Psalm 89:34, that he will not break his covenant, neither will he alter the words that has gone forth from his mouth. It has become my personal conclusion, my personal opinion, that you will not be able to understand the very depth of the riches, of the height, the width, the length, the breadth of the word of God without coming to terms and knowledge of the blood covenant. It seems to me, saint of the living God, that the understanding of the blood covenant is an access code that helps you to unlock the entirety of the scriptures. Without understanding this very critical aspect of the Bible, you will struggle to understand what faith is, how faith is to be executed and implemented. You'll struggle to understand what it means for you to live and to walk in righteousness. You struggle to understand what the Bible speaks about you becoming holy before the Lord, that no man without holiness can see the Lord. You struggle with the several promises and blessings that God has already made available for you in the Holy Writ. Because without the blood covenant, you read these things as disjointed parts. But with the understanding of the blood covenant, you will look at faith from the perspective of the foundation of the blood covenant. You look at the issue of trust from the foundation of the blood covenant. You look at the issue of righteousness from the foundation of the blood covenant. As one reads the Bible, one ought to see and interpret the entirety of the scriptures in the light of the understanding of the blood covenant. The Bible is divided into what we've come to understand to be two testaments. But more appropriately than calling these testaments, they ought to really be called two covenants. The old covenant and the new covenant. In this light, when you understand that the Bible is largely composed of two covenants, you see the Bible to be a book of covenant. Without the proper understanding of covenant, the tendency for believers is to live their Christian life with a sense of legality and legalism, seeking to please God by what they do, what they say. Seeking to please God based on their attempt to be perfect, based on their good works, of their goody-goody two-shoes. With the failure of understanding, there is nothing any one of us can do that will become pleasing in the sight of God. I find after a few years of serving God, quite a few years, a decade or 2 decades and a half in the year 2010, that really nobody can serve God pleasantly or pleasurably without the help of God. In other words, you need God to serve God. You need the help of God to love God. If the truth be told, if we were left in our own strength, in our own arm of the flesh, it will surprise you what you will do. I've said to people before, don't be overconfident that you're standing by your power or by your might. Because if ever God were to lift the veil of grace, the veil of mercy, it will surprise you what you can do. I know that many years you haven't looked at another opposite sex. You haven't touched the opposite sex. You never stolen a naira or a dollar before. You haven't told a white lie. Not to talk about a gray or a black lie. That's all right. You can make your boast in your abilities to walk upright, but saint of the living God, if you stand by the mercy of the Lord. If you walk by the mercy.